Good morning, good afternoon, good evening again to my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, okay? I hope that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are, okay? Now then, so it's just gone 20 past 5 in our old England, my delicious little babies, okay? So 3, 2, 1, my juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright, yes. So I'll tell you what's just happened, okay, my delicious little babies. So that doesn't mean no. So what's happened a short while ago? Um, and again, that doesn't mean no, is that it appears that my storage was running out on my camera on my dog and burn delicious babies. Okay, so I've had to, you know, delete some files. Okay, my delicious babies now then. So that's what's happened there. These things happen, my delicious babies. Okay, anyway, not to worry, not to worry. I'm not a professional. Do you understand what I mean, my delicious babies? Okay, I just give out videos, my delicious baby. That's all I do. You could see, I love little rats. It's just a figure of speech, but seems that we've got a few rats, haven't we, my delicious little babies? It seems, okay. And not just to do with the old bins at the moment in Birmingham, mad little babies and old England. Anyway, so what I wanted to talk about, I just wanted to just finish that. Yeah, you've got more business women than ever before, where they've never wanted like little bands. This has been going on for some years now, my little babies, but they've never wanted what I call little bands. They've just wanted their careers, okay. But then they found themselves, unless they get to meet somebody who is, shall we say, well, I suppose on their level, really, my little babies, who themselves they do not have any bands either. Do you see what I mean? Okay, but for most, they tend to feel that we are rather lonely. Because they've always put career first, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. So anyway, but we have been noticing this over the years, my delicious little babies. Okay, this is really nothing new to myself, not at all. And it's the same with the businessmen. They're the same. There's been many who, and even in, the celebrity world, where they just never wanted to give up their bachelorhood. There's a song, wasn't it? Bachelor Boy. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? So they never wanted to give it up. They just wanted to live this fast-paced life, and then become even more enslaved to we know who, my delicious little babies, if you follow me, okay? So, like, that's that. But anyway, let's change the subject. So, before my dog and burn runs out again, my delicious little babies, before the storage goes again, okay? And can I please just take this time to say thank you for any views, for any likes, and for the occasional comments. It's so very much appreciated. So thank you. I love you also. Okay. Now then, yes. So I watched this video yesterday evening, my delicious little babies, okay, and it's to do with Born in the USA. And it happened to be, what's his name? Alex Jones. And he was talking to, what's her name? Is it General Flynn's sister? Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, but I thought, oh, well, I'll listen to it till the end. I think it was about 40 odd minutes, my delicious little babies, okay? And, and they happened to be talking about, and this sort of made my ears, prick up. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? And I happened to be talking about healers. Now, I'm not sure, for my delicious little babies out there who will listen to my video today, please remember the rats. Okay, my delicious little babies, especially the tails, you know what I mean? Of course, I love little rats, but I'm not talking about those little rats. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yes. And So I'm not really sure what you know about healers. But I've been a healer. Well, I've been a healer, there we are, all of my life. You know what I mean? I mean, I've always done my best to give out the best advice I can. You know, I've been doing, there we are, my readings over well over a couple of decades. And I've always, the best way to explain it is that I've always been a healer, meaning that I'll always listen, because healing is not just about doing the healing. Healing can be about listening to somebody, giving them advice, and helping somebody in some way. So healing, there we are, comes under many different meanings. My delicious little babies, okay. But for myself, you have some of the top healers in the world. Now, these healers are super duper special, my delicious little babies. I mean, I found for myself that I was cracked up, and what was it now? I'm going back a lot of years. Okay, my delicious little babies, and I can still remember this dear lady's name now. And they came to me at last minute for a reading. Okay, and there was the two of them. There were friends. Okay, and one woman who they were meant to be booked in with, she will basically, you know, shut the door in the bird races. Do you know what I mean? Okay, and they'd been to her for many many readings before, my delicious little babies, but sorry, excuse me again. But on this occasion, let's just say she wasn't very accommodating, you know, and she just, you know, shut the door in the bird races. So then they contacted somebody who I happen to know, a dear lady, okay, and you know, and we may not see each other very often, you know, but I do regard that dear elderly lady, there we are, as one of my friends. Do you see what I mean? Okay, and so she got on a dog and bone and said, you know, would you see these two women? Anyway, fast forward. But like I said, there we are. I'm going back years ago now. Okay. And so I said, yes. I said, you know, I said, send them up, you know. Because, of course, you know, I used to be like a New Street Station. There we are, you know, and I used to do, put it this way, an awful lot of readings. I'm not going to say awful as in it was awful at the front. That's just figure of speech, my delicious babies, kind. But sometimes when I say awful, there we are, I do mean awful. Okay, my delicious babies. Anyway, so the first dear lady I did the reading for, and then that's when it happened, because dear Archangel Michael and dear Archangel Gabriel, it's like I could see them right in front of me. And then they was explaining to myself to get this dear lady to hold her hands out. So I said to her, I said, could you please hold your hands out? So I'd done the reading, the tarot reading, and then I said, can you please hold your hands out? So they were just guarding me. That's all they were doing. So what I did, you know, just closed my eyes, did the healing. We both stood up in my kitchen, okay, and a friend was there as well. And then it's like they sort of let me know when to let go. So I just let go. And I never forget to this day, and that was the first dear ever lady I ever did a healing for, you know, like a physical healing like that. And she said all of her tummy, it's like, she said she had the most strangest feeling in her tummy. And I said, but I said to her, I said, well, I can well assure you now, I said, I would never, ever have done anything to harm you. And she turned around and she said, no, 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 no. She said, not at all. She said, the feeling that I have, she said, is so, there we are, so wonderful. She said, I never ever, and I'll make sure that I say this loud and clear in my camera to whoever's listening, not to my delicious babies, okay, to whom it may concern now, that she said she never ever needs to come for another reading to anybody, and she never ever has to go for another healing ever again. That was her words. And then the next morning, she sent me a text message, my delicious little babies, and she said, thank you so very much again. You know, because everybody, you know, knew me as Carla, right? Carla, do you see it to me? And she says, you know, what you've done for me. She said, I've been waiting years, you know, just to be clear, to have everything, well, basically cleared off her. Okay. So that's a form of the healing, okay? I did a healing for another dear lady, okay? And she went to a chiropractor a few times, and this chiropractor did not manage to help her. And each time, you know, ka-ching, 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 you know, because they have different rooms, don't they? Because after all, there we are. It's a business, isn't it, my delicious little babies? Do you follow me? So she said, you know, I think I'll just give Carla, you know, a call on the old dog and burn. Do you see what I mean? So she came out to me, and she had the back problem. And let me tell you, she doesn't suffer with that back problem anymore, my delicious little babies, Kai. So, you know, I had somebody else came out. They have a problem with their shoulders. I've had ones with problems with their arms and hands. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? And put it this way, as far as I'm aware, and if I've spoken to them again, they've never had to go to anybody else to go and get that done. So when I listened to this video now then, okay, I thought, hold on a minute. I thought, where are you going with this now? Okay. Now, they were referring to as well, which was to do with some form of healing. And I want to make sure that this is on my dog and burn and it's on my camera for whoever to listen to, who needs to listen to this now then. That what they were talking about is that to do with the healing with the feet. Yes. And I personally, there we are, do healing with the feet. But it's not the kind of feet healing that they're talking about now then. It's a different type of healing. And furthermore, right, I'm going to tell you this as well, my delicious babies. And furthermore, right, so I want to make sure that my point, there we are, is gotten across. There we are, good and proper now. Okay? Because whoever listened to these, which will be millions, okay, this is basically putting down every healer, if that's where they want to go now with this now then, isn't it? Right? See, I was stumbling then. I'm not changing my video. If that is where they want to go with this now then, right, then they must be putting down then, there we are, every single damn healer in the world then, isn't it? If this is the crock of shark, what they're coming out with now then, and yes, I will say it on my camera, right? Because that's particular foot healing, okay, I think there's only been one who I've done a healing for, and they felt more the healing in the other part of the body where I put my hands, okay, and it wasn't so much the feet, but for everybody else, it's what happens is that the energy from the tips of your toes goes all the way up through your body. And then what the idea is that it comes out your crown chakra up here. That's the whole point, okay? Now, there's a special, there we are, technique to doing this, okay? So at the end of the day, and what it does, and there was actually, what was it? There was one dear woman, I'm going back years ago now, one dear woman where she could hardly walk, okay? This is not somebody who I did, by the way, okay? And she could hardly walk, okay? And so who was going to her? There was somebody who was going to her. I won't say too much. There was somebody who was going to her, right? And they said, don't say anything to anybody, and I'll come out once a week and I'll do your feet. So 6 months later, she's walking around, and this is a dear woman who was sort of crouched over and everything, right? And she's walking around, there we are, like a 50-year-old, and she was in her 80s. Okay? So where are these now then? Going with what they've been done saying in the camera. This is what I want to know. And then what's her name? That flipping General Flynn's sister now, where she said that no healer should put their hands on anybody. That was the words. Okay, well, here's what I've got to be done saying. Then they start preaching, and I will say that, Martelishtuk babies, right? Because this really flipping well pissed me off. And I will say that because I'm speaking, there we are, on behalf of brilliant and fantastic, I'm not pointing at you, Martelishtuk babies, of brilliant and fantastic, there we are, healers out there we are, in the world. I'm speaking for those as well. Okay? Just like, what's his name, Danny Gallagher in Ireland, Martelishtuk babies, who I mentioned months ago. And I'm probably lucky if I got a few views. Okay, well, anyway, this is how it rocks and rolls with my videos, Martelishtuk babies, because I don't follow the leaders. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. But it seems that those born in the USA, they like to, what's it called? Gatekeeping, is it? There we are, gatekeeping, is it? Yeah? Putting down the healers out here now then, isn't it? But Danny Gallagher, let's get back to Danny Gallagher, bless him, okay? I'm not too sure if he's still doing the healing. I hope he is, bless him. There was a little baby who couldn't see. He did the healing, and that little baby, okay, could see again. So where are those in old America now? Where they're going with this? So what they're talking about, isn't it? You know what I mean? If this is a road that they want to go down, right? So, yeah, and they talk about reflexology. Yes, I know all about it. Do you know what I mean? And when I went to go and do, because I was already a healer anyway, but something really drew me to go into an angelic healing course. I've mentioned this before on my videos, okay? And what happened is that part of my training was to put my hands on somebody's shoulders. And at the time, she happened to have the most awful, terrible migraine, Martelishtuk baby. She was extremely nauseous. A lovely, dear lady she was, bless her, not in that way. And she nearly missed out because that course cost each and every one of us 300, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. That's how much that course cost for each one of us there on that day. So I said, please stay. I said, let me do the healing, because that's what we had to do. And then not long after that, you get your certificate in the same day, because it's a 2.5 day course, right? And then I said, please let me do your healing. I said, because otherwise, I said, you're going to lose your ka-ching, you're going to lose your cash. And I says, but at least if I do your healing, you'll be able to complete and get your certificate. So she said, all right, Carla, all right. You see? Then the tutor turned around and said, because there was another woman who was healing another woman with her hands on the shoulders, literally on the shoulders. Where are they going with this now? Crock of fucking sharp, man. And I will say that, because that got me flipping damn vexed, right? This dear lady now, right, who I healed, her migraine completely disappeared, right, never to return, okay? All of her nauseousness completely went, okay? And the only thing that she did say, right, she says, when you were doing my healing, she said, all I could see around you, Carla, on about myself, she said, all I could see around you was sharks. That's what she said. And she said, but you have performed, she said, a miracle. And I said, well, I would never do anything, I said, at all, I said, to hurt anybody, yourself for it. And she said, I know that. She says, but what she was concerned about is sharks, there we are, around myself. So quite possibly she was looking, there we are, into the future. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. The tutor getting back to this now then, with this woman here who was healing another woman who was sat down, hands on the shoulders. My tutor says to me, she said, and she said to the other woman there, the two women, she said, she leant forward and she said, I'm so sorry. She said, I couldn't see you at all. She said, behind Carla was larger than life, you know, like Archangel Michael. I'm pretty sure still at Archangel Michael, okay? I definitely know it's either Archangel Michael or Archangel Gabriel. She said it was so larger than life. She said it was unreal. She said it was the most wonderful thing I've ever seen. And she's never ever seen that before in her life. So where is your man there, Alex Jones in America, and General Flynn's sister now? Where they're going with this? There's all types of different healers. I went to one, I'm going back years and years and years and years ago, okay? Not for a healing, okay? This was to do with, just said, you know, would you like to come over? And yeah, because the reason why, because they used to come to meditation when I used to teach meditation. That's what happened, okay? And they said, would you like to come over? And she said, would you like to come into my room? You know, and I tell you what, I could feel it. I could feel the healing energy, okay? So there's all types of different healers. You can have hands-on healers. You can have healers where, say, you could be there and then, you know, they could be just hovering their hand over, okay? So you can get those type, and then they do it on the tummy. So they're just hovering their hand, you know, their hands, okay? You can get those. You can get crystal healers. There's all types, there we are, of different healers. But then there was something else that they said, okay, during all of this conversation, you know, to millions. Goodness knows what ones are now going to be sparing a thought and thinking about healers around the world. Okay, this is not very good way to talk about healers, but they happen to be talking about some other kind of healer. Apparently, what with black on the ceiling and red walls. Well, no. Because my healing room, and that dear lady who I went to, who used to come to me when I used to teach meditation for free, by the way, right? Her room was all lovely and cream and everything, okay? But they were talking about some other kind of damn healer now. Now, that is what I would say you're dealing with a dark type of healer, okay? That is not a healer, okay? And if somebody's got anything that's latched onto them, okay, which I have come across myself, okay, so that I have to get off whatever is on somebody, okay, and it can be, there we are, a challenge, okay, because you've got the light versus the dark. Do you see? Okay. I've even, when somebody's called me, I've said, I don't see them anymore. It's been years, but, you know, but basically I know who to send them to. If they're dealing with very, very, very bad, you know, because I used to get calls many, many, many years ago, and I say, okay, you know, so I'd contact somebody. I say, is it all right to give your number out? I said, because they're dealing with this, and then they would go and do the job to get rid of the nastiness, and it can be very nasty. If something latches on, it can be, there we are, extremely, extremely, extremely nasty now. Do you see? Okay. And I went through it, well, it's over a year ago now, when a dear husband and wife came to see me. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But the fact of the matter is, I had to come out the room. God bless that dear gentleman. His dear wife she was absolutely, you know, the fear in her face in a bird race, you know, because she was sat there while I was doing it. Okay, and I said, come on, so we come out the room, you know, just whispered, come out the room, just leave to rest, and then go back in, repeat the process. Okay. If you had seen how this dear gentleman came through the door with his wife compared to how he was when he went, You see? So I took personally, see, I'm stumbling again, I'm not changing my video. So me personally, I take this very flipping damn well seriously, okay? Because there are absolutely thousands, right, that nobody hears about, who are beautiful and wonderful. There we are, healers. But then you've got your other ones, and this is why I do not like, let's just say, the likes of gurus now. Because you got a lot of, there we are, nasty ones, okay? And they will put something on you. You see? Okay? So I'm just done saying it, but I never liked that at all. And something else I want to say before I leave my video to do this, and I'm not shouting at you, Marta, the Shtick Babies, right? It's just things like that piss me off, and I will say piss me off, and I feel no way, because I'm speaking for all of the, there we are, wonderful healers around the world. And that doesn't include doctors and nurses, for most of them, okay, because they're not healers. I'm telling you that now then. Right? And one more thing I want to say, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's like they want you to worship God. Yeah, mentioned God a lot, didn't they? So what was Jesus then? What was Jesus Christ? What was Jesus Christ? That's the question I'm asking. He's a healer, wasn't he? But none of us, you or I, or them, can say what type of healer, because we wasn't around at that time, was we? Mad little babies. Do you see what I'm saying, okay? That's why I like to call our creator. Do you see what I'm saying? Because we all have a creator, okay? But they want you to worship God. They kept mentioning it to mention God. So what God are they talking about then? That's what I want to know. What God? I'm asking the damn question. What God are they talking about? Are they talking about the God that allows these wicked and putrid things now to go on in the world, like all of these wars? Like bombing little babies, innocent little babies and little bairns and little teenagers and families. So where's the God then? That's the question that I'm asking now. Where is God then? Where is God when horrible and nasty things now are taking place around the world? Where is God then? Where is God when Jyoti in Delhi? She was an only little bairn, bless her, and she was with a friend in Delhi, and all she did was get on a bus with a friend. And I talked about that months and months and months ago. And them dirty effers now, the dirty effers, them dirtiness now, men and teenagers. And they pulled it inside to her outside. And they did all them nasty things now to her. And she never survived, bless her. Where was God then? What about that dear young lass over here who I also mentioned, who was found in a suitcase? Because the family said that it was some sort of honour killing, where she was raped and had terrible things done to her. Where was God then? That's the question that I'm asking. Where was God then? So I happen to take, I happen to take things now extremely seriously. But to criticise all healers, and then what else are they talking about? Oh, that it's sexual and all this kind of thing now, right? No. No. No, it is not. Okay? At the end of the day, the fact of the matter is, and that doesn't mean yes, the fact of the matter is this, there are different type of healers and these were putting this out. So why are they putting this out? There we are. This is why one's got to ask themselves a question now. Because they want everybody to worship one. Just like certain in the world now want a one world order. And if we look at religion over the years, I've got nothing against anybody out there, Marzlichtuk babies, who have their own religion, those who do and those who do not. I've got nothing against anybody, right? I'm just asking damn questions now, isn't it? If you look at religion, you're guaranteed. There's always arguments, there we are, over religion. So where they're going with this? But to say that no healer should put the hand on another to heal. And when that General Flynn's, that was something else she said, that General Flynn's, what's her name, sister, when she said that somebody came over, she'd hurt her leg or something, somebody came over, put her hand, on a knee or something, and she said she felt 1,000 times worse. Well, I don't know what kind of healer exactly that was, but at the end of the day, you cannot speak for everybody. And I'm hoping whoever it is now, then, you know who you damn well are, that you get this message loud and clear. Do not be saying nasty things now about the healers around the world, okay? There we are, who do genuinely help. For some reason, they're not wanting, are they? They're not wanting healers to be doing natural healing, it seems, isn't it? There we are, that's the message that I received in my noddle. That's the message that I heard with my ears. But they were certainly pushing, for healers not to, that one, must not be trusting healers now. Really pushing it out the way. And what I was saying out loud, what my thoughts was, and I was saying it out loud, my thoughts, is how many are going to hear that? And I do not give a shit. A figureless fuck, actually. How fucking big your man there, Alex Jones, is in fucking America. Because he's a bought and paid for little bitch now, isn't it? That little fuckery man. So don't fucking go there talking about all the fucking healers. Okay? There's many healers. What about Dear Simeon? I said about Dear Simeon. It's got to be over a couple of years ago now. Ones only have to duck go this. Please and thank you, Marzlichtuk babies. His name was Simeon. I've got his surname somewhere, bless him, because I wrote it down. And because he was a fabulous healer, was it in the 1960s? Because he was a fabulous healer, they said they'd tricked him. They said, oh, come on a plane. We want you to go and do some healing. Oh, no. What took place on that plane was that, what did they do? Bless his beautiful, dear little soul. I'm so sorry. I don't want to depress or upset anybody. But this is what happened, is that they chopped his body up into different parts and put it in barrels around the world. Because he was a healer. And the way that they're putting down the healers now, right? So if Jesus Christ Nazareth now, okay, if he was a healer, okay, so therefore, aren't they putting down Jesus Christ as well when they're telling everybody to praise God? That's the question I'm asking. But I was flipping pissed, man, pissed off and vexed about it, because I'm speaking up not only for myself, where I've helped, there we are, hundreds in my time, right? I'm speaking for every other healer out there who is genuine, like in these little villages that nobody will ever hear about, and this has been going on for decades now, where ones in the little villages where they help so many, there we are, they help so many, but you never get to hear about it. Because all that they ever want anyone to do is listen to do with God, one God, by the way, Mads and the babies, Kai, and to pop pills. But they don't want all of the natural way of doing things. Do you see? They do not want this. They're not liking this. So I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy. And if I swore on my video, well, who gives a figulous fuck anyway? Because I do not. I'm done saying it the way it is. They're not going to be done saying that about. There's some fantastic healers. I even went to, like I said, I mean, I'm going back for years and years and years and years ago now, and I said it on one of my videos months and months and months and months ago, where I went to a doctor and I had a slight tummy trouble, and he happened to be a Chinese locum doctor. He was a locum. And so I went to him, and they said, oh, and I said, well, where's my normal doctor? Anyway, he wasn't available. And it's a rarity I ever went to a doctor, a rarity, right? Because me and doctors and nurses just do not seem to get on. Very few and far between. And all he did, I was lay on the couch, and all he did was just put his hand on my tummy, and he just said, what area is it? And let me tell you, I didn't need nothing. It was like he had natural, there we are, healing hands, healing abilities. I never needed any medication. I never needed nothing. And when I left the room, I felt, I thanked him. I really thanked him, bless him. Do you know what I mean? And I said, thank you so very much. I said, if we had more of yourself and less of the other, I said, we'd all be a lot better. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay. And he even said to me, he said, you know, even the doctor said, he said, oh, do you feel like I've got the healing? I said, yes, you have, because I'm a healer myself. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But anyway, so, you know, anyway, but that was that. But it was just that particular, but I am going back years and years and years and years and years ago now. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But generally speaking, you know, if there's something wrong, if I've got something wrong, I can generally, I can, there we are, sort it out myself. Do you see what I'm saying? Generally, right? Okay. But when I was mentioning, that's one more thing I want to mention to change the subject. So when I was talking about my hair, when I had my hair, when something was telling me to get my hair cut, and then I had that for the next few days, okay? What this is talking about, because I just do not normally suffer with migraines, and I need to make that, there we are, abundantly clear. And I feel very blessed for that, very blessed, okay? But this was all to do with the spiritual, because it was all here, okay? And then it took a few days, and then it went, okay? So I want to point that out. And very lastly as well, if we talk about yogurt can be very, let's just call it a very, there we are, friendly bacteria, okay? Now, the fact of the matter is, you know, ones will have different views on how they see yogurt, okay? But yogurts can be very good for many things, okay? And it can be very friendly to you, okay? But unless you actually go to a place or you go to a country and you see how it's all made and you see everything else now, you know, all you can try to do, there we are, is get the best you can. And I prefer the Greek, there we are, yogurt. Okay, the Greek style, they call it yogurt. Okay, but it can be very friendly to you. And if you have some fresh fruit with it and a bit of honey with it. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay. And it can be very friendly to your tummy. Do you see? So that is how I have always, there we are, found it. Okay? So at the end of the day, everybody can have different views on things now. Do you see what I'm saying? And I always say anyway, if it's to do with headaches and things like this now then, you know, some nice lemon water. We usually, there we are, we usually do the trick. You know what I mean? Or if you haven't got, you see, this is why I don't believe in the things now, what they say about flipping salt and all that crock of sharp, because at the end of the day, like I've said before, said in my videos before, nobody'd want to come into my flat, because when I'm doing, whether it's a curry or whatever it is, I put a flipping ton of salt in it, because our bodies need salt. But what these tell you, okay, you know what I'm talking about now, okay? Not to have this, not to have that. Yes, okay. Like doctors and nurses will tell you not to have this, not to have that, but they've done no research. They just follow the leaders. Do you see what I mean? Well, it's because of that situation why we're in the effing mess that we're in now, isn't it? And now, there we are. We got to get ourselves out of it. But yeah, whatever's happened to Lights Off, whatever's happened to Alex Jones now then, I'm telling you something. Something's not sitting right with myself, but they're certainly pushing it out now then. There we are, the healers, because that's the way it come across to myself. The healers are bad. Well, no, they're not. Okay, and whatever that kind of healer was, I would certainly not class that as a healer at all, because they're working for the bad. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay. But I tell you what, you get a damn good healer who's working for the light against the healer that's working for the dark, and you can bet your bottom dollar that the light, there we are, will always win. There we are. Hands down, swear down. You see what I mean? Okay, it may take work, but it depends, there we are, the power that's behind you. Because you must remember that with healers, and I'll repeat this once again, healers, I've said it on other videos, okay, they're used as a vessel. I'm used as a vessel. There we are, to help others. That's the way it goes. And one more thing I want to just mention, I do not believe either in, what do they call it, in fallen angels. I do not believe that either. How can an angel be fallen? That's all I'm asking. I have my own feelings on how I see things, right? And I do not believe in fallen angels. No, I do not. Because angels work for the higher good. So how can you have a fallen angel? Just like they throw the words around Lucifer. But if one's knew, there we are, the real meaning of Lucifer. Okay, but I'm not going to go into all of this. I'm not going to go into it all. Okay, because I do not need to. But what I'm saying is, it's amazing, there we are, what's certain now in the world, okay, no disrespect now, right, to any channel, whatever, because there's flipping millions out there, right? The fact is, they have their view, there we are, and I have mine. End of. But I certainly do not believe that every single healer in the world is bad. No, I do not. But to say that a healer should not touch a, should not put their hands on, what a crock of fucking shit. Crock of fucking shit, man. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you got different healers. I repeat once again, different healers. But I'm not too sure how these have been around certain, isn't it? It's not the kind of circles, put it this way, that are mixing. Put it that way. So I'm just done saying what I've got to say, Marge, Lishlick babies, but it's not against any of yourselves, okay? It's just no. I will stick up, there we are. We've got some fantastic healers out there. And I will stand by everything that I say. And I will not change. Okay? And then you got your bad ones. So you get good and bad in everything. Okay? But for the majority, you have some beautiful healers. And that doesn't mean no. You have some beautiful healers in the world. Okay? But like I said, nobody ever hears about them. Because certain do not want ones to hear about them. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay? Because they can work, there we are, miracles. And with natural medicine, everything's natural. You know, it's not pop a pill, pop a pill. So little gatekeepers, Alex and General Flynn's sister, you can carry on gatekeeping, can't you? For we know who. Okay? But let me tell you, I don't feel that you two, or who you seem to mix in certain circles with, are really for anybody's higher good out here, are you? Yeah, becomes more and more apparent, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Yeah, what they're pushing out. Bit like in, when was it? Is it the old lockdowns and everything, wasn't it? And then came that, yeah. Sugar water, wasn't it? Now it's the second time around. bigging up somebody who wants to turn Gaza into casino land with hotels and have beachfronts. Yeah. That's who I'm talking about there now. Who's gatekeeping Mardzalish Babies Kai? And I'm not going to take my video down, and I'm not going to take anything back what I've got to say. Not at all. Not at all. One's one to get raw now. There we are. R2 can get raw. Trust me on that one. So until my next video, my delicious little babies, thank you once again very much for listening. I'm not shouting at you and I'm not being disrespectful to you, okay? If I've swore, I've swore, okay? Please just do not take it personally. But at the end of the day, and thank you, but at the end of the day, this is directed, there we are, at certain. And somebody, there we are, has got to stick up for the healers in the world. The damn good healers in the world. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? And I too am a healer, and as far as I'm concerned, I too, there we are, have done a lot of good, there we are, for others now. Okay? So I don't want to hear this shit. Okay, my delicious little babies. So until my next video, thank you so very much for listening. You probably won't get to listen anyway, but that's the way it goes, okay? So rocks and rolls, okay? But whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, so I got cut off last time because my storage didn't have today, okay? Please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, there we are, may you all be, there we are, fully protected. And how I love you also. So much love. Love ya. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.